Hey guys, you're welcome back to my channel today. Thank you so much for stopping by. In this video, we'll be cutting and sewing these two pieces that you can see on your screen. We'll start by cutting out the blouse first, and I'll be drafting on my pattern paper. So the first thing I'll do is to take my point. The first point I'll take is the distance from my shoulder to my bust point, which is 10 inches. The next point is the distance from my shoulder to my waistline, which is 16 inches. I went ahead to add 1 inch, which is going to serve as my hemming allowance. After doing that, from the center front, I'm going to go in by half of my shoulder measurement. I'll indicate that with a dot. On that dot, I'm going to go down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and I'll slant from that point into the neckline area. After doing that, I'm going to go down from the shoulder slope by half of my round armhole circumference. Okay, my round armhole circumference is 16 inches, half of it is 8 inches. So I went down by 8 inches. On that 8 inches mark, I'm going to roll a straight line across like this for my armhole to sit, and then I'm going to connect from the shoulder slope to meet the 8 inches mark in a straight line like this. So the next thing I'll do now is to place my tape on this straight line, and I'll divide what I have into two. What I have there is 8 inches, half of 8 inches is 4 inches. I indicated the 4 inches with a dot. On the chest line where my armhole is sitting, I'll take my bust circumference divided by 4. I'll indicate that with a dot. On the dots that I have on the straight line, I'll come in by half an inch, and then I'm going to connect from the shoulder slope to meet the half an inch that I came in with like this, and from that point I'll connect to meet the dot on the chest line like this. After doing that, guys, this is what I have. The next thing I'm going to do now is to take my neck measurement. Okay, so for the neck width, it depends on how wide you want your neckline to be. I'll be taking 3.5 inches. You can do 4 inches if you want your neckline to be really wide, like the one you can see on the thumbnail. And for the neck depth, it also depends on how deep you want it to be. For me, I'm taking 6.5 inches. So because I want to have a straight line, I went ahead to take 6.5 inches inward. Okay, after doing that, I'm going to connect like this. Okay, so it's a square neckline. Okay, so you can make it as deep and as wide as you want it to be. Okay, after connecting, this is what I have. So you can make your neck width wider by just going in more. Okay, and you can also make the neck depth deeper by just coming down. Okay, so the next thing I'll do now is to take half of my nipple to nipple measurement on the waistline and on the bust line. Half of my nipple to nipple measurement is 4 inches. So I took 4 inches on the waistline and I took 4 inches on the bust line. I'll connect the two dots into a straight line. Next thing I'll do now is to start placing my measurement. So we already have the bust, my bust circumference divided by 4 on the chest line. I went ahead to add my stitching allowance of 1.5 inches. On the waistline, I'll place my waist circumference divided by 4. I'll add 1 inch for that, and I'll add my 1.5 inches for stitching allowance. After doing that, I'll connect from the chest line to meet the waistline like this. The next thing I'll do now is to take my dart. So I'll be taking half an inch on both sides of the straight line. Remember, I left 1 inch for my dart. Half an inch plus half an inch is 1 inch. What I'll do now is to connect from the half an inch to meet the dart leg on the bust line. Okay, so after connecting, I realized that the picture on the thumbnail, the dart extended all the way to the chest line. So what I'm going to do now is to measure the distance from the bust line to the chest line, which is 1 inch. So I'm going to go up by 1 inch, as you can see, because I want to roll a straight line across. Okay, I want to extend this chest line, so I'll go ahead and roll a straight line across just like you see me doing, and then I'll extend my dart leg all the way to the chest line. So when I'm taking in my dart, I'm going to take the dart all the way to the chest line. The next thing I did was to take the back neck depth. Okay, so it depends on how deep you want the back neckline to be. Right now I took 2 inches and I connected to meet the neck width. Okay, after doing that, I'll proceed to cut. So as you can see me cutting, I went ahead to cut the back neckline first. So I realized that the neck depth was too deep, so I just went up by another 1 inch. So the neck depth that I took for the back is 1 inch. Okay, so I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into two. Okay, and I placed my pattern on it. Okay, so I'm cutting out the back first, obviously. So on this waistline, I'm going to go up by 1 inch, as you can see. So I'm taking this 1 inch because I want the blouse, the top, to sit perfectly on my waist area. So I'm slanting from there into the other side of the waistline. So just look at the way I'm cutting. The 1 inch is just, I took the 1 inch on the center back, okay, and I slanted to meet the waistline on the other end because I want the blouse to sit well on my waistline. Okay, after doing that, I'll go ahead and notch my zipper allowance. Okay, so I know where to take in my zipper. I'll also go ahead and adjust the zipper area. So my zipper allowance is 2 inches. On the waistline, I took out half an inch from the 2 inches. I'm going to connect all the way like this, as you can see me doing, and then I'll go ahead and cut. Okay, so after cutting, I went ahead to remove my pattern paper, and this is what I have. I'm going to cut out another pair because I'll be using my fabric as my lining. Okay, I'll sew and I'll take in my dart. So for the front, I'm gonna to fold my fabric into 4, and my center front is on fold. I left half an inch on the base, okay, for sewing allowance. After doing that, I'm going to go ahead and cut. So this neckline is not too wide, so I'm not adding any stitching allowance. Okay, so I'll sew with half an inch to make it wider. Okay, so after cutting, I went ahead to remove my pattern paper. So I have 2 of these. Okay, your center front should be on fold. Okay, one is going to be the main piece and the other one is going to be the lining piece. So I'll advise that on your lining piece, you should make your lining piece half an inch shorter than the main piece. Okay, so I also went ahead to notch my dart for the front. Okay, so what I'll do now is to place the main fabric and the lining piece right side facing right side, and then I'm going to go ahead and sew on all sides. The only place I'm not going to sew is the armhole area and the shoulder. Okay, so I'll sew the base. Make sure your lining is at least half an inch shorter than the main fabric. Okay, just so you can fold it in a little, and then after sewing, go ahead and take in your dart. Make sure your dart will extend all the way to the chest line, as you can see. So after sewing and taking in my dart, this is what I have. I took my dart all the way to the chest line. Okay, so and I turned everything inside out through the armhole area. For the back also, I went ahead to cut out the lining piece like I mentioned earlier. Okay, and I sewed all the way. I turned it inward through the armhole area and I took in my dart. Okay, so this is what I have for the back. Next now, do is to fix my zipper to the back. Okay, for the sleeves, your fabric should be as wide as you want it, and the length also depends on you. So the length of my sleeves is about 13 inches. The fabric that I have here is about 36 inches. On the base, I'll fold twice like this to create a channel for my elastic band to pass through, and for the upper part, I'll go ahead and gather it. Okay, so I fixed my zipper in place, and this is what I have. Okay, I've also gone ahead to iron. Okay, so what I'll do now is to bring in my front piece, and I'm going to place it on the back right side facing right side. I'll go ahead and join the shoulders. Okay, So you can join the shoulders lining to lining and fabric to fabric, and you can pin just like I'm doing, and then you go ahead and sew. So for me, I'll just pin and sew and I'll overlock it, okay? So after joining the shoulder, this is what I have. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to fix my sleeves. So I'll open up the shoulder like this and I'll bring in my sleeves. So I have created the channel for my elastic band to pass through on the base. I've also gone ahead to gather the upper part of this fabric. So I'm going to arrange the gathers on the armhole area all the way to the end, and I'm going to sew all the way, okay? I'll also repeat the same thing for the other side of the armhole, okay? And I'll pass my elastic band through. So use your elastic band to measure around your arm, okay? That's how wide your elastic band should be. Make sure it fits, okay? So I'm going to now pass my elastic band through the channel on the base, okay? So for the other part of the sleeves also, I'll repeat the same thing. I'll create my channel for my elastic band. I'll gather the upper part of the sleeves and I'm going to arrange it on the armhole area now. So I've gone ahead to sew the sleeves in place, and this is what I have, okay? Next thing I'll do is to arrange my top, and I'll shape it using my body measurement, okay? So for the skirt, guys, I've gone ahead to cut out my fabric, okay? As you can see on the thumbnail, the skirt has 2 layers plus the band. So I went ahead to figure out the length of my skirt, okay? So the length of the skirt is going to be 27 inches, as you can see. Okay, so it's going to be 27 inches minus my hemming allowance, okay? So the band is going to be 2 inches. Okay, so I'm left with 25 inches. The first layer is going to be 10 inches, while the second layer, which is the longest one, is going to be 15 inches. So after calculating all this together, I'm going to have the 27 inches. So go ahead and determine the length of your skirt and the band, the length of your band, your first layer and your second layer. So this is my band. I've gone ahead to cut it. What I have here is 2.5 inches on fold. I'll be sewing with half an inch. After sewing, I'll be left with the 2 inches, which is going to be my band length. The wideness of this band is my waist circumference plus 2 inches for zipper allowance, okay? And the band is folded into 2. I went ahead to iron a stitch to it to strengthen my fabric, okay? So once I open my band up, I have 5 inches on fold. It is 2.5 inches. Half an inch will be for my stitching allowance. So for the first layer, I have 11 inches. It's supposed to be 10 inches, but I left 1 inch, which I'll be using for my joining allowance for the up and for the down. So for the wideness of this fabric, I have 2 yards here, okay, which is 36 times 2. Okay, so I'll measure it for you guys to see. The fabric is folded into 2. So once I measure it up, I have 36 and it's times 2. So this is 2 yards for the first layer. So for the second layer, guys, I have times 2 of what I have on the first layer, okay? The length of this second layer is 18 inches. It's supposed to be 15 inches, but I added extra 3 inches to it for hemming and joining allowance, okay? And the wideness of this second layer is 4 yards, okay? So that is, I have 36 inches times 4. Okay, so your second layer should be times 2 of what you have for your first layer. What I'll do now is to bring in my band and the first layer. I'm going to gather the first layer into the band, okay? I'll just gather to make sure it fits on the band, okay? I've gone ahead to do that, and this is what I have. Okay, so after doing that, I'm going to go ahead and gather the second layer to fit on the first layer, okay? So I'll go ahead and just gather all the way. I've done that, and this is what I have. What I'll do now is to place them right sides facing right side, and I'm going to arrange this second layer in a way that it's going to fit on the first layer, okay? So just arrange and then go ahead and sew all the way to the end. Okay, after sewing, you are going to overlock it, okay, because the inside will be looking rough. Okay, after sewing, this is what I have after sewing the second layer to the first layer. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is to fold them right side facing right side, and I'm going to finish up the back, and I'll fix my zipper to the waistline after placing my waist measurement. After fixing my zipper in place, this is what I have. I've also gone ahead to finish up the back. So the last thing I'm going to do now is to hem the base of my skirt, and I'm going to iron my skirt. So that is all for this tutorial, guys. I hope it was helpful. Don't forget to like this video, leave your questions in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.